Hi there. Before I get started, I just wanted to point out that prior to my I do portion of the lesson, I would be having the students complete a Padlet, and they are responding to the question, what do you think of when you think of automation? So this is going to serve as both a warm-up to get students thinking and also a way to pre-assess their knowledge of automation. All that said, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into my I do. Okay. So before we dive right into our topic and start working through our class, I want us to stop and take a moment to think about our learning target. Our learning target today is going to be based on computer science standards because we are going over a computer science topic. So look up here. Our learning target is going to be taking a big problem. Okay. And the problem doesn't have to mean something's wrong. It can mean something isn't working as fast as we want it to, isn't working as well as we want it to, or maybe it could just be better. It doesn't have to be bad. Okay, but we have a problem and it's big. Let's say this is our problem. What we are going to do today is we are going to talk about how we can break down a problem into different pieces. Okay, different smaller pieces, smaller problems, and make it easier to solve that way. Taking a big problem, breaking it down so we can solve it more easily. Okay, this will stay up here. Keep it in mind, and we'll come back to it as we're working through our lesson so that we can relate back to this target and see if we're on track for hitting that, for breaking down those problems. All right. So, you filled out a Padlet. What do you think of when you hear automation? Okay, I wrote down just a few of the responses. You've all seen each other's responses. I saw a lot of people liking each other's responses and writing their own separate responses or writing similar responses to their peers. I can tell you guys really did a nice job with this Padlet and you were reading through your peers' responses. That was wonderful. Great job. So I chose just a few that I felt like we maybe agreed upon because I saw a lot of likes or a lot of responses that were something like this. So automobile was one that I picked out. Robot, I saw a lot of robot, and autocorrect. Okay, so looking at this list, I noticed something, and I want to see who else might have noticed it. So I'm going to do some circling and go ahead and watch and see. Does anybody see what I'm doing already? Look at that. 3 of these 4 words, including the topic word of automation, start with the prefix auto. Auto. If you also notice this, show me the connection symbol. Cool. If you're just noticing this, thumbs up. Nice. That's great. Now, auto, what does it mean? It's a prefix. And so we add it to a word to change the meaning of the word or to add meaning to the word. What does this prefix of auto add? Let's think. Think, and then I want you to put in some ideas. What other words start with auto? Autobiography. Very good. Pulling that one from your ELA class. An autobiography is a biography about what? The author, about themselves. An autograph. That's a good one. Autograph is the signature of the person. When we add this prefix, we are meaning self or itself. So let's look at our words that we have here. Automobile. Okay, mobile is the root of this word, right? It means what? we can get from place to place. An automobile means we can get from place to place by ourselves. We drive ourselves there by ourselves. Autocorrect. Our text gets corrected, right? Do we have to go back and correct it? Yes or no? No, we don't, right? We're not backspacing. It corrects itself when it's auto-correcting. So, automation, I want you to think of the word that is kind of a synonym. It's not exact. And that is automatic. Okay. When something is automatic, it just happens, right? We don't have to make it happen. Automatic, it happens all by itself. Automation is very similar, but it is not the exact same. Something automated is not going to happen just by itself. It will happen by itself once we have set it up to do so. So, here are some quick examples of things that we can say are automated. Our thermostat. What does the thermostat do? If it gets too hot or too cold, what's it do? It turns on, right? It turns on, and it turns on because we picked a temperature that we want our house to be, right? It doesn't just turn on to whatever temperature it thinks it should be. If we didn't turn it on and set a temperature, it wouldn't run the air or the heat. It wouldn't. It's automated because we told it the temperature, so it does the things it needs to do to keep it that temperature. Here's an example that I really like in my own home, and I'm going to ask you to think of things in your home or in your life that are automated. So check out my example, and maybe it will help you to think of some examples yourself. One of my favorite things in my home is my Ring doorbell. Who's heard of a Ring doorbell? A lot of you. Yeah, they're pretty popular. There's lots of commercials for them. My Ring doorbell makes it so if someone comes close to my house, within a certain distance of my house, it will turn on and it will record a video of them. It senses that they're there and it automatically records. I don't have to watch and press a button or start the camera. No, it does it itself. But if I just went ahead and took it right out of the box and hung it outside, would it record videos? Would it send an update to my watch? Oh, someone's at your front door? No, it would not, because it's not purely automatic, it's automated. I had to set it up for it to work automatically. Does that make sense? How are we feeling? Thumbs up, that makes total sense. Gotcha. I'm with you. Thumbs sideways. Sort of, it makes a little bit of sense. I'm not 100% sure. Or thumbs down, I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, I see a good number of thumbs up, some thumbs sideways, couple thumbs down. That's okay. We are going to be working through more automation throughout this lesson. So, let's look again at our target. How does automation fit into this? What do we think? Think about my Ring doorbell. Think about the thermostat. Think about if maybe you have one of those vacuum cleaners that runs itself or anything that runs itself in your house. Is running a house a lot of work if you would have to do every single thing? If you said, oh, it's cold, so you had to go switch on the furnace. And then, oh, you have to be watching out your window to see if someone's going to come to your door whenever you're expecting someone or you're waiting for a package. I know a lot of people do that. That's something I don't like to take time to do. Okay, it would be a lot. It would be a big problem or a big thing for us to break down. We're going to break it down by finding which parts of the problem we can automate. Okay? Think about that. You have a whole house to take care of, but in order to make it easier, you find all of the small tasks that come along with taking care of a house, and we automate what we can to make it simpler to take care of. Okay, makes sense? Great. You guys are doing awesome. Next, I am going to ask you, like I said, to think of an example. Remember, my example was my Ring doorbell. This is something automated in my life, in my home. Think about your home, where there's something that you think might show automation. I want you to think of an example of an automated device. So that was the I do portion of my lesson. Even in my I do's, I like to be really interactive and engaging the kids. That way, I can feed off of their own ideas and also address misconceptions right then and there. So I don't find out down the line that they have these ideas about the topic that are untrue or maybe a little bit misguided. I also love to model my processes of thinking, how I'm drawing connections, and then model the next task for the students, what I'll be asking them to do in the We Do. So I did start introducing the We Do, and first the students are going to be kind of thinking about things in their life that they believe show automation. And we are first going to create a Wordle, a word cloud. Here's an example of what it might look like. It would probably have more words in an actual class because students can contribute more than one idea. And if students contribute the same ideas, the word goes in there more than once and gets larger. So we can see the main things that we're all thinking of. We would then be watching a few short YouTube clips showing us some automated devices in the home. Following that, I would have students actually acting out, so using their bodies, um, to show what the process would look like if it were not automated. So, for example, an automatic hand soap dispenser will say, okay, it's time to wash your hands, and the students are pumping soap into their hand. And then, okay, time to wash your hands again, pumping soap. Or maybe they're doing one of these push soap ones like you would have in a public restroom. Whatever their idea is, the point that I'm trying to get across is that these are repetitive actions. And so we would do this for a few of the examples that either we watch on YouTube or the students provide. We would act them out, and then we would figure out like what do these things look like and ultimately get to that idea that yes, these are repetitive motions. The reason for that is that it will help us in determining why we automate things, what things are easy to automate, and what things are not so easy to automate, and kind of how those decisions are made. And that will really set them up then for the following task, the you do portion. For this final portion of class, the students will be completing a project on their own, and I have created 3 different versions of this assignment corresponding to the levels that I was provided given the data set. So I have discreetly labeled these with little colored stars on the mop bucket. The red star bucket will be the not proficient students, and you'll see that theirs is a bit more guided and it includes an example, and the questions are a bit simplified. The proficient students have the green star on the mop bucket, and they are delving a little deeper into why or why not we automate things. The advanced students have the same table as the proficient students, they just have a little extension activity to complete. Of course, in addition to these different levels, I also need to take into account other accommodations. For students with IEPs or 504 plans, I would be following the mandated accommodations that are set forth in those plans. For ELLs, I love to use additional pictures and videos so they can visually see what we're talking about. And for my lower level ELLs, I also allow them to provide their answers pictorially as well as in writing. And I had noticed that a lot of students had extended time for the test based on the data set that I was given. And so I'd keep that in mind, giving additional time when possible or cutting back the workload a bit. If you'd like, you can pause and take a quick look at this next slide here. It's how I like to map out my lessons chronologically and to make sure I'm hitting all facets and also to highlight the different resources that I plan on using. I thank you so much for watching my video lesson. I really enjoyed preparing this for you, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.